It's wonderful being here, and I'm told tomorrow you start the carnival here in Goa, and tomorrow also is Mahashivratri, two important events. And we have come here for Sadbhav, for goodwill, and let's all experience that harmony within us. So, my topic is role of art and culture in promoting harmony and peace. We have a big, great legacy. Our land can boast of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We have heard this terminology very often, but the two-line shloka says, Ayam nija puroveti gananam lagu chetasam udara charitanam tu vasudhaiva kutumbakam. It means we tend to count yours, mine, ours, theirs, and such people who make such type of calculations are of small mind. Lagu chetasam udara charitanam tu vasudhaiva kutumbakam. Those who are of large heart and big heart, they consider the entire world as one. So we have also this saying, Loka Samastha Sukhino Bhavantu, Samadrishti we speak of, and Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. These are all in the Vedas and the Puranas and all that. So from the Vedic times, we have a culture of composite culture, culture of harmony, peace. In the ancient times, in the same house, under one roof, there were the Charvakas and there were, the Shaivas and the Vaishnavis, all types of mixed type of people. And everybody lived, coexisted happily. But today we experience a sort of new emerging culture. We can't call it culture. It's a contest of exclusivism and sectarianism, which I would call xenophobia. Xenophobia is a combination of two Greek words, xenos, which means stranger, and phobos, which means fear. Fear of strangers, fear of the other. In Hindi you can call it parabhiti, and that is being instilled into our minds. So that's a contest. So now, So I propose that xenophobia be countered by xenophilia, love of strangers. By dictionary meaning means an attraction towards strangers. That's not what I mean. But we love also the strangers, people who are different from each other. There are people in the history who have been xenophilic. Jesus was one, and he said, if you love only your brothers and sisters, what great thing you are doing. Even people who are unrighteous, they do that. So love everyone. Be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. And what is that perfection? Largeness of heart, where everybody can be there. In the Old Testament of the Bible, it often speaks of care for the strangers, care for the refugees, care for the outsiders, care also for the widows and all that. Gandhi was such a person, a xenophilic. He integrated various prayers in his ashram, even to the British people whom he was fighting. He would love them, he would address them, he would go to them whenever they invited him. No enmity. Nelson Mandela and Archbishop Desmond Tutu, after winning freedom and defeated apartheid, they had courts and they said no retribution, no vendetta, but only reconciliation, only forgiveness, only love. So Pope Francis is a person who speaks about going to the unknown, to the periphery. So how can art and culture promote harmony and peace? So the history of art and culture in India we have songs, we have the Bollywood cinema, we have cinema in other fields and theatre. It's full of harmony. There may be some with hatred and all that, provoking. But majority of the films, if you look at the history of Mumbai cinema, Bombay cinema, Bollywood, Alam Mara and Mulk and Dharm and so many films speaking only of harmony and peace. We have the Sufi saints, Kabir Das and many others, Dadu Dayal, and then we have Paltu Das, who said, Paltu Das said, Dal dal par Allah, paat paat par Rahim, kaun chiraiya ashwin boli, jungle jale tamam. Kabir Das said, Pothi padi padi jagmuva pandit bhaya na koi, dhai aakhar prem ka pade so pandit hoi. The one who reads those 2.5 letters of love, prem, he becomes a learned man, pandit. So Sufism is full of that. And then we have literature, we have the folklore of India, so rich in every stage. And the fine arts, beautiful paintings, I see very well, advocating Sadbhav, harmony and peace. And the Bollywood cinemas and the short movies today. I would request you to put on this, this is a small movie, just a snippet of a 20-minute movie. It's a movie titled Aavu Diya Jalaye, and the background of Diwali, about harmony and peace. Sorry, I think you have these days the time is of small and short movies, 3-minute movies, 10-minute movies. You have a short movie made in Gorakhpur, in Uttar Pradesh, on love, harmony. And such movies are powerful instruments of spreading love and harmony and tolerance. I wouldn't like that word tolerance, but more than that, happy coexistence, peaceful coexistence.
का हो नंदलाल भाई, सुबह के हर निकल लिए।
क्या बताऊं रहमान भाई, गांव में कोई खास बिक्री नहीं है। सोच रहा हूं इस बार शहर जाकर दिया बेचने की कोशिश करूं।
अरे भैया नंदलाल, अरे आज की बिक्री उकरी कैसन रहन?
कुछ खास नहीं रहमान भाई, लगता है इस बरस भी दीपावली में मेरे घर में अंधेरा ही रहेगा।
दादू जान, पता है इस दिवाली पिंकी, सुनीता सबके घर झालरों से सजे हैं। माशाअल्लाह, इतने खूबसूरत लग रहे हैं। दादू जान, क्या हमारा घर नहीं सजेगा? चाचू ये सारे दिए मेरे हैं, ये मुझे दे दीजिए।
अरे भैया, सुना नहीं क्या?
रहमान भाई, आप इतने दियों का करेंगे क्या? आप तो मुसलमान हैं।
घर चाहे हिंदू का हो या मुसलमान का, खुशियों की रोशनी का हक तो सभी को है। नंदलाल भाई, दिवाली आपको बहुत मुबारक हो।
रोशनी का दरिया हर ओर बहता जाए, तुम क्या हो, तुम जो भी हो, चलो इस दरिया में नहाए।
It's a long 20 minutes almost, and we have just shortened. So we have theatre of harmony and peace. Goa is known for theatre. So I believe a lot of, I have just 2 minutes. So we have when we look at the theatre, the history of theatre, theatre of the oppressed, poor theatre, theatre for harmony, and now we have come to street theatre in India. And that is the voice of the voiceless. Basically, some may call street theatre voice of protest and all that. But we have used theatre for harmony, peace, love, street theatre as well as stage theatre. So many stage plays and street plays and using, without paraphernalias and all that, mime, freeze, slow motion, symbolic motifs. I just show one more and then I conclude that. That will be the last. Yeah. That's just a visual of one of these Sadbhavana Yatra. We had many, 2005, 2006, 2007, later in 2015, 6 months long, we're on the road using art and culture for harmony and peace. And many others are doing all over India, IPTA and Gyan, Vigyan, Jatha. There are many, many groups doing and promoting peace and harmony. So it's my conclusion that let us use no, don't use that. That's some visuals of that. My last appeal is that let's use art and culture. Art is innate in every human being. Love is innate in every human being, not hatred. Let's use art and culture for love, for harmony, for Sadbhav. Thank you, Father Elvis, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, Chairperson ma'am. Thanks to all of you.
Thank you, Father Anand. It brought back childhood memories. I now invite Michelle Colasso. Her topic is Interfaith in Action to Serve Humanity. She represents the Carmel College of Arts, Science and Commerce for Women, Nuvem in Goa.
Good afternoon, everyone. A warm welcome and thank you, Father Elvis, for giving me this opportunity. I represent Carmel College of Arts, Science and Commerce for Women, Nuvem, Goa, and I'm here before you to present my paper, which is titled as Interfaith in Action to Serve Humanity. So, what comes to your mind when you hear the word interfaith? You can give me your answer, and there are no right or wrong answers. Every answer is right. What comes to your mind when I say the word interfaith? Different faiths. Yeah, this side. Faith within ourselves, yes. Interaction between faiths, yes. Wonderful. Believing in each other's faiths. Wonderful. Those were all the wonderful answers. Thank you so much. So, according to me, what interfaith is? When a group of people of different faiths, beliefs, do something together to serve the ultimate religion, that is humanity, then we can truly say that we are true Christians, true Hindus, we are rooted to our religion. And to give an example, this conference itself is a big example of that. Then Rajendra Kerkar in the morning, he said that interfaith harmony can be rooted right from the beginning of our history of India. If you go to 5,000 years back and then you subsequently come down, Ashoka, the greatest emperor of all times, he promoted something called as Dhamma. What is Dhamma? It simply meant respect for all religions. Love one another. You come little down to medieval times, Akbar. Akbar had interfaith debates in his Ibadat Khana. He invited scholars of various religions to come debate on the faith, to debate on the scriptures, to debate on the values, on the beliefs. And I have never said this to Father Elvis, but I am now going to confess this, that Father Elvis, I see a twin brother of Akbar in you. Just like Akbar used to invite scholars of different faiths in his courtyard and have debates, Father Elvis is also giving us the same opportunity to do so. Then you come to partition. Gandhiji advocated the biggest principle, love one another. When the partition took place across the borders, he personally visited the refugee camps and served the partition-affected people. He did not care about the people, the faith from which they came. He served Hindus, he served Muslims, he served everyone, irrespective of their faith. Coming to Ambedkar ji, when he was preparing the constitution, he made sure that he wrote in every sentence of the constitution, this applies to everyone, irrespective of their sex, caste, religion, creed, place of birth. He never discriminated anyone on the basis of religion. Then comes to Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa is the biggest example of serving humanity. A person who comes from a different country but comes here, loves the people as if as if the Mother Teresa's family. She never discriminated anyone. Anyone who comes, who came to her door, she always gave them something in return. She never sent them hungry. Then Father Stain Swami. Father Stain Swami was a tribal activist. He wrote more than 70 books. He worked for the Adivasis in areas like Jharkhand, Bihar, and to some areas of Chhattisgarh also, North Bastar region. He also never discriminated whether the Adivasis belong to the Christian community, Hindu community, or some other faith. Then Sudha Bharadwaj. She left her US citizenship. She came to India and was serving the tribals. Then the Golden Temple. Today the Golden Temple is the largest community kitchen which feeds around 1 lakh people. Feeding 1 lakh people every day is not something a joke. It is the biggest example of humanity service that one community can do. And every day they are doing it consistently, during the pandemic also and post-pandemic also. So it is, all these examples that I gave to you all just show that how people of different faiths, when they come together, that's the point where we can bring the real difference in the society. Go back, please. Go back. So I just would like to share, before I move on to the case studies that I have brought to present before you all, my experiences with the interfaith. Have you all heard about Zambauli Gulal? Yes. So I come from a village called Rivana, and so I fondly remember my experiences from 6th to 10th standard. So before the Zambauli Gular, which used to take place, there was a 11-day, they used to serve food for all the devotees, pilgrims, and people from across different faiths. So I and 5 of my friends, our school used to leave at 1:15, and we used to run to reach to Zambauli, and then come back at 2 o'clock, because 2 o'clock we had extra classes. So this was in 10th standard. So for 4 years, from 6th to 10th, we did this every year for 11 days. We used to go there and we used to always wait to have the kheer. Their kheer was the best. And I still fondly remember those days of going to a temple, having their food, sitting with the other pilgrims and devotees, and sitting on the floor and eating the food with them. So, yeah. So the case studies that I present to you, the first case study is of the Kerala, that is of Vavar Mosque, Sabrimala Temple, and St. Andrew Basilica. All of you all must have heard about Sabrimala Temple. If you have not heard about it, you might be living in ancient India, because it is the most famous temple. It has gained a lot of name to it and fame to it also. So we all heard about Sabrimala Temple, but very little we know about the friendship that is shared by the Vavar Mosque, that is just situated 30 kilometers away from the Sabrimala Temple, and then the Arthakulam Basilica, which is situated another 20 kilometers away from the Sabrimala Temple. So Sabrimala Temple falls in the middle. It is in the Periyar Tiger Reserve. If you go 30 kilometers to the west of the Sabrimala, you'll find the Vavar Mosque. And then if you come to the east side, you'll get the Arthakulam Basilica. Yeah. So the story goes like this. Sabrimala deity, that is Ayyappa, he killed the demon princess Manishi at Irnumuli with the help of the Vavar. Vavar is worshipped in the mosque. And he was also assisted by a Jesuit priest who was serving in the Arthakulam Basilica. So there are various legends attached to this. I have taken this legend from the scroll.com. People have different legends. I have just taken up this because I found this to be more authentic. Now this is the most interesting and the most beautiful thing that I have ever heard. Before visiting the Sabrimala temple, the pilgrims first visit the mosque. Why? To honor Vavar, who helped the deity Ayyappa to kill the demon princess Mahishi. They go in the mosque, so there is a coconut breaking place inside the premises of the mosque. They circumambulate the mosque, break the coconuts inside the mosque premises, the Hindu devotees, and then donate money to the mosque. And then only they go to Sabrimala temple to do their rituals and traditions. And once their rituals and traditions are over, they come to the basilica. The management of the basilica, they provide shelter, food, accommodation to the Hindu devotees. Now when I read about this case study, we all hear about different case studies in Goa, but we never hear much case studies from across India. And this is one of the case studies that I found to be as equal and relevant for today's times. It is really a ray of hope in the times of darkness. And finally, once the devotees reach to the Saint Sebastian Basilica, that is Saint Andrew's Basilica also, it is also called Saint Andrew's Basilica, they break their chain. So they wear a bead mala when they are going to the Sabrimala temple. They remove their chain and then they take they bathe in the sea nearby or in the tank that is within the church premises. So this was during the CA protest in Delhi. An interfaith ceremony was conducted wherein the Hindus they did a havan, then the Sikhs chanted their kirtan and scriptures, for example verses, quotes showing interfaith harmony from Gita, Bible, Quran were read, and Gurbani was also held. And after that the participants read the preamble of our constitution and took an oath to preserve its socialist secular values. Yeah, so this is the second case study. In Africa too, there have been ethnic fights between the Islams and Christianity. So
30 seconds.
Yeah. So people of the leaders of both the communities, that is Islam and Christianity, came forward to resolve the issues. And today, the sub-Saharan African countries, the communities, they are living very peacefully over there. And until today, there have been not much ethnic conflicts noticed. Yeah. So to conclude, finally, I have taken these pictures from the COVID-19 pandemic. When people were sick, we used to visit the hospitals, but people, the doctors, nurses never cared about who is the patient, from which religion he or she is coming. What they cared was just to serve the humanity. And also while cremating the people, the healthcare workers, they never cared about themselves. What they cared was to serve the humanity, to give a rightful and dignity full of cremation to the people who had died during the pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Next, I invite Ms. Manjiri Vaidya. She's going to present a paper on Philosophy of Dasbodh by Samartha Das. She represents the Ramniranjan Jhunjhunwala College of Mumbai.
Hello. First of all, I would like to thank Father Elvis to give me this opportunity to share my thoughts and ideas about Dasbodh. And religion, in my accordance, every religion was born or came into existence just to find ways to attain the ultimate truth. People may call it various names, Brahman, to be at peace, or to be one with God. So today we are going to discuss some of these ways which Samartha Ramdas, who was an ancient Indian saint in 17th century, where Bhakti movement took place, and he played a major role in that, and he is considered to be the guru of Shivaji Maharaj, who gave him spiritual knowledge and guidance when he was being at war, fighting for his country, fighting for his people. So for the people who don't know, Dasbodh loosely means to advise to the disciple. It is a spiritual text of bhakti and jnana. It was orally narrated by Samartha Ramdas to his disciple Kalyan Swami. The Dasbodh provides the reader with spiritual guidance on matters such as devotion and acquiring knowledge in various ways. In day-to-day life as well as in the process of one's finding the truth or the reality or helps one to be at peace. Samartha Ramdas was also a great philosopher according to me, and not only a religious saint. Samartha's advice through his prominent writings from Dasbodh and Manache Slok, which can be translated as the mind-molding melodies. These are 205 OVs which are written by Samartha Ramdas, which helps a human in all stages of his life in development of throughout his lifespan. Samartha's devotion to Lord Rama is in the form on effort of both performing day-to-day activities and in search of finding the truth. If a person does all his needs with alertness, pure mind, prudence and constant pre-planned effort in the right direction, then he will attain peace in any situation. This is the Samartha's philosophy of leading life peacefully with inner peace. The objective of this paper is how Dasbodh philosophy is relevant in today's 21st century, and it can help our lives get better today. So let's talk about the inner peace that we were trying to gain. So the inner peace refers to the deliberate state of psychological or spiritual calm despite of potential presence of stressors. Being at peace is considered by many to be a healthy homeostasis and opposite of being stressed and anxious. So a peace of mind is thus generally associated with bliss, happiness and contentment. Our body needs to give instructions to our mind to do tasks. Man is miserable because he seeks joy and peace in the external conditions which cannot be controlled by him, and he somehow unconsciously makes his happiness dependent on the external conditions. So, however, due to this course of time, this physical element is not everlasting and feels that he has wasted a lot of time and money on leading to losing peace of his mind. So inner peace and harmony are seen inherent virtues inside of an organization. A person needs to be good in accordance to nature. However, a sense of competition, money, status makes him selfish and self-centered in today's world. An individual becomes a part of the rat race and loses his mind. So now, in this state of mind, Dasbodh, we'll see how mind-molding melodies that are the Manache Slok and Dasbodh helps us to get back to our original state of mind and try to attain peace and go a step forward in our spiritual life. Research has studied Dasbodh thoroughly through various courses conducted by Samartha Vidyapith. That is, a whole university is dedicated to study the works of Samartha Ramdas, and they have been proved that the research is done to study impact and assessment of Dasbodh philosophy to develop this inner peace in an individual for entire lifespan, leading to holistic peace too. So I'll just get forward. Samartha has advised not to use energy to attack ignorance, backward-looking notions and irrational behaviors. Instead, he insisted constructive action and progressive lines. His methodology was unique, both preventive and prescriptive. Dasbodh covers, now I would like to add a point, but why Dasbodh? There are so many numerous Indian texts which talks about finding the ultimate truth or being one with God or gaining punya or whatever. So why did I choose Dasbodh? Because according to me, Samartha Ramdas was a philosopher and he didn't even participate in the grahasti or the household, but still in the Dasbodh he has written numerous things about how to handle a das, how to handle a household and still be a part of the spiritual and still be the part of spiritual life. So he has enumerate the benefit that mankind will derive by studying the grant and how it will help all the sections of the society as a householder and the sannyasin and the rulers. His teachings are not only for a specific type of people. Everybody and anybody can apply it in their day-to-day life and still achieve a greater height in spirituality. One must not only read Dasbodh regularly for the spiritual growth, but also must study and attain the perfect mental and physical health. Human is a miniature of this world, and whole universe is composed of Supreme Lord and the form of trust, knowledge with universal mind along with the visible world. The soul is the form of the mind and the body which makes up the mortal frame of the man. So I'll just get to the conclusion part. I would like to say why in Dasbodh as well as the mind-holding melodies written by Samartha Ramdas, he has just named one God, that is Lord Rama, and I would like to tell you why. Because he is written, why only one name? Why according to him is Lord Rama the only name or the face of God? So he says that Lord, in spite of being born in a kingdom or being a prince, he suffered hardships like a regular man and came across situations which tested his intelligence, his calmness, his morality, his ethics, and still he didn't give up any of that just to win the war or just to gain back whatever he's lost. So that is the reason the connectivity between Lord Rama and the humans that we are right now, that is the reason Samartha Ramdas chose Lord Rama as the name in all his texts, his writings, and he is the devotee of Lord Rama. To conclude, I will just sum it up. Dasbodh philosophy mentions relation between mind and Brahma, which is the spirit of the universe. Brahma is very subtle and grand in nature. Similarly, human mind can also need to be pure so that it can attain the inner form. Mind purification happens in subtle and grand form, just as the Brahman. So he is related the human mind and the Brahman very skillfully in Dasbodh. In this form, this form is expanded and is present in all elements and particles of the universe. Everybody in the inner contradiction of self and which is obstacle in achieving inner peace. If a person is alone doing meditation, then different thoughts come to his mind due to agility. This agileness and contradiction that can be stopped at the source from the mind. So he says that if a person who has a calm mind, the person becomes calm. The mind, if the particle is calm, the person becomes calm. Thus the family becomes very positive and healthy. And if every individual tries to achieve that peace of mind, the universe will be at peace and harmony.
Thank you, Manjiri. I now call the last paper presenter, Father Dr. Francis Carvalho.
Good evening, friends. Not good afternoon. So I've written this paper as a student social anthropology. As we know, religion has its own description of religion. Therefore, I refer to religion as a social anthropologist. As a student of social anthropology, I have learnt that human beings are considered to be relational beings. In other words, human beings can exist in this universe only in relation to others and become more and more human. Only in the degree, quality of relationships they establish with others in this universe. It is this degree, quality of such relationships of human beings that will determine the degree, quality of human beings becoming more human or less human. Based on the above exposition, one could construe that the purpose of existence of human beings is that of their becoming more and more human. But Saint Irenaeus, a Christian spiritual master of 3rd century, seems to have elevated this purpose to a still nobler level when he says that human beings fully human is the glory of God. This means that the purpose of human beings' existence is that they evolve as fully human creatures of God so as to reflect the glory of God in and through them. After decades-long denial of the role of God in the creation of the universe, the scientists have recently acknowledged this role of God as that of a particle that might have triggered the creation of the universe, and which they described it as God particle. In her article in Konkani, Abba 33 Koti Dev, or as Wow 33 crore gods, Sushma Arur refers to this God particle as Ishwarya Ansh. The Vedas and Puranas, she says, refer to Triyesh Trimasti Koti Dev, that is 33 crore faceted God. Explaining the term Koti or crore in English, the author says that it could be translated as a universe or a fullness, that is, a universe of gods or fullness of gods. Arguing further, the author says that Vedanta philosophy too refers to this as triune God and the countless gods. By virtue of the above Vedanta philosophy, the author says that the triune God exists in every creature in the universe, like trees, vegetation, animals, birds, mountains, rivers, stones, and even in the tools, instruments the human beings use in their daily activities. Thus there emerged the Hindu belief in 33 crore gods, and accordingly the Hindus worship the 33 crore gods present in all the creatures and tools and instruments in the universe. In conclusion, the author says that just as Brahma is in the believer, so also Brahma is in every creature in the universe. It is for this reason, the author says, one who hurts the other or causes physical or mental sufferings to others, she hurts or offends God present in him, in her, or in it. If this moral lesson had been learned by everyone from the beginning, the author wonders, this world would have been a better place to live in. Social anthropologists in their field research work among the aborigines dotting the earth have discovered that each ethnic group has its own specific culture. One of the main constitutive elements of a culture is its belief system, which is mainly about establishing and maintaining relationships with their primordial ancestors, whose domain is the spirit world, which cannot be adequately articulated in human words except with the help of symbols, signs, or mythology. The above process of constituting belief system is surmised to have emerged when the subjective mystical experiences were needed to be shared with one's fellow members in the ethnic group. Since the mystical experiences of the ancient seers and sages, being subjective in nature, they needed to be institutionalized into creeds, codes, rituals, customs, for all the members of the ethnic group to live according to these mystical experiences of the seers and sages. Gradually, the primordial belief systems began to be developed into diversity of philosophies of life and religions. As expounded earlier, the process of entering into relationships with God as Supreme Being amounts to human beings entering into a mystical union with God. Even as this mystical union leads one to subjective mystical experience, which when it is lived by the said mystic in his or her daily life, it may take the contours of a religion of the mystic. And when it is shared with fellow human beings, then the institutionalized with a set of norms and rules, it may take the contours of a collective religion or organized religion. St. Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of Society of Jesus, is said to have had a mystical experience of seeing God in everything and seeing everything in God. He lived the subjective mystical experience as well as he shared it with his fellow companions by means of a manual for spiritual exercises. These spiritual exercises he had hailed as aids for other meditators to attain their subjective mystical experience. Even as this subjective mystical experience of individuals have been at the core of many collective religions, they can be considered as being beyond these collective religions. As noted just above, these subjective mystical experiences could be acclaimed as religions of the mystics, who have the spiritual capacity to see God in all things, to see all things in God. The subtle distinction between the religion of the mystics and the collective religions could be better explained with the help of the exposition of Swami A. Parthasarathy. Which he expounded in his article pointing at a crescent moon in a sunlit sky. According to this author, the true nature of God is beyond terrestrial knowledge, for Brahman is transcendental. One's body, mind, and intellect cannot reach the transcendental. However, the sages of the yore have given humanity several pointers indicating Brahman, the Supreme Being. These pointers, he adds, are not definitions, but they can help set a clear direction for the human intellect to pursue and grasp the transcendental being. Explaining it further, he says that Vedanta serves as a pointer indicating God. Terrestrial knowledge, however subtle, cannot take one directly to the transcendental reality. God is infinite, hence finite efforts cannot achieve the infinite. Nevertheless, one cannot reach God without this knowledge, as this knowledge can take one only up to the subtlest terrestrial knowledge, after which one has to experience the reality subjectively. Using the analogy of the moon branch analogy, Chandra Shaka Neya, Parthasarathi explains us how the moon can be pointed out with the help of a branch of a tree. Firstly, one has to identify a nearby tree, then ask the onlooker to look at the tip of its branch, and then from the tip of the branch to gaze at the sky far beyond it, where suddenly moon will appear to him, thus the moon that was unknown to the onlooker will become known to him or her. Similarly, Parthasarathi says that Vedanta too provides all the knowledge necessary to reach one's Godhead. It takes one from one's present state to the point of divinity, short of self-realization. Vedanta can reach only to this point of divinity and not beyond. By way of summing up, I would say that it is for the subjective mystical experience of human beings to bridge the abyss between God and the Supreme Being and human beings. By way of conclusion, I would take the help of Ramakrishna Paramhamsa, the promoter of Ramakrishna mission in India, who is said to have said about Christianity as follows: Christianity cannot teach India about a new God or a new religion, except that the way to God is through one's neighbor. In fact, Jesus Christ, the founder of Christianity, has taught that his way of God has already been walked by God himself by extending his love towards human beings. Love of one's neighbor is dramatized in the parable of the Good Samaritan. One could therefore say that it is the love of God extended towards human beings that draws them into an intimate union or mystical union with the God particle, Ishwariya Ansh, present in the created things or beings. Hence, it is only the love of God and the response of love from human beings that can bridge the abyss between God and the Supreme Being of Brahma and human beings. The end. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Francis. We will now take in questions from the audience. Any questions from the audience? Either a general question or something that is directed to each of our presenters.
I have a question for Michelle. I'm just paying back for all the questions you asked me in the morning session. Yeah. Okay. I know. So you discussed the issue about the mosque and Sabarimala and the basilica. You know, the people are going to first the mosque, then the temple, and then you brought that about as a case of interfaith harmony. Now, just playing the devil's advocate here. Do you think it's got to do more with custom? It is something that people are doing it because it's customary for their God. Or is it really a genuine belief that I'm actually going through 3 different religious faiths? Or is it just because everybody's been doing it for so many years, so I'm doing it without an application of mind that I'm actually going to a mosque? For me, going to the mosque is a customary practice of going to a temple and then on to the church. Just a thought here. And maybe anybody can, answer that question, yeah.
So, I believe that there is no, absolute, because no one can force a person to go to the mosque. I believe that people are doing out of their, as a mark to show respect to their deity and to the Vavar deity who is there in the mosque. Because when I read about this legend, it was said that the Ayyappa deity was in serious trouble, and therefore the Vavar mosque deity came to help this. So as a mark of respect to the Ayyappa deity's friend, he was considered his best friend also, and so as a mark of pure respect to the deity, I believe that they are doing it. And so coming to the customs and traditions, I believe that, you know, if something is followed for generations, the next generations also tend to follow it up. For example, the feast we celebrate. Now every year we have an annual feast. We also come for the feast of Pilar here, and then Father Agnelo's feast. We go to the old Goa for the St. Francis Xavier's feast. I believe that all these things we are doing it out of as a mark and as a love to show to that patron, and not as a like continuation of what our previous ancestors have told to us.
So to just take this forward, do you see how custom can be a huge interfaith tool? So I'm a Sindhi, and I'm a Hindu, yes, but I'm not some fantastic religious Hindu. But before we do anything, we always say Om Ganeshaya Namah, and we draw it. Now, I'm not a believer of Ganesh, but somehow we do it as a matter of custom. So maybe custom could be a huge uniter of interfaith. You know, probably we could take that forward from your discussion is what I surmised.
Yeah.
That while we're doing it, and like in Bombay, you got, you know, Mount Mary Feast.
Yeah.
So, you know, you find people from all communities go there, and they're not even thinking that this is a Christian thing. It is just a case of faith and a case of custom. So that could be, probably could expand your paper into making how custom can be a tool for interfaith harmony.
Yeah, so to add to that, I come from the constituency, Taluka of Kepe. So for every Ganesh Chaturthi, we have Sarvajanik Ganesh. So one day I take out one day to visit, to go with my friends to the Sarvajanik Ganpati in Kepe. And we eat the prasad also. So yeah. So I believe that it has become a part of, you know, I can say a part of my principles, my practice to do it.
Yeah, to this question I would like to respond. When you were presenting at that time, I felt making a clarification, because I come from that part of the country. And it's, as you said, it's more custom. It's not exactly faith. It's not part of the doctrine or anything. So it's more of an expression. It's part of culture, less of faith and more of culture. The feast in Ayyappa, that is based, centered around Makar Sankranti, 15th of January. That's the peak of the feast. And before that, there is some feast in that mosque. And it's not, that happens to be to Ayyappa temple. Whereas the church, St. Andrew's Basilica, is far from there, but it's on the seashore. It is in Alleppey district, it's very far. But east there of St. Sebastian. St. Sebastian is the most popular saint there. That is on 20th of January, just 5 days after the feast in the Makar Sankranti. So they make a plan, they make a route, they return via the seashore and then take bath and then go to the church, welcome. As she said, they change their, that, you know, black dress they wear, that they change and put on normal dress and go back to their own places. So that has become a custom, but how much it is followed today, I have my doubt. So much of polarization and all that. But some of them must be maintaining. It is easy to maintain because, you know, this January is a beautiful month of feasts of all the churches, temples, mosques, all that. They call Makar month. That's the season for the festivals. But the question is, as you said, I would agree with what you say. The custom, you know, make us, following the practices of the custom and culture, make us better human persons. Be part of the entire, that cosmic consciousness. We all are part of one creation. We are all integrated with each other. We are all children of God, and we are not separate from each other. As Father it's explained. Or Vedanta philosophy, we all are part of that Trine God, that 33 koti Devi Devtaएं. So we, somewhere or the other, it's not in syncretism, it's not relativism, but it is, I would look at it as a generosity, the largeness of our hearts to include everyone into our heart. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Last question. Father Elvis is prompting me.
As you spoke about Makar Sankranti, 14th, 15th January, also Pongal festival, 14th, 15th January. I worked for many years in Andaman Islands, where our Christians celebrate in a grand way Pongal festival, which is more of the Hindu community. And many years it was going on very well. But one time came when some people, some fundamentalists created such a tension against the Christians because they were celebrating it. And they tried to show that you are doing this only to misguide the Hindus. And it went on for a long time. It created a lot of tension. So what I want to say, there are some places all over India where such feelings are there and such customs are there. But at the same time, the reactions against also are very huge in some places. So for us now is exactly, what exactly is our role with such programs that needs, I think, a little deeper reflection. Because problems and huge problems. And nowadays, as we know, the way the situation is going on, how much the Gandhian spirit is prevailing in India. Is the Gandhian spirit growing or the other kind of spirit prevailing? Is a big question mark for all of us.
Thank you, Father. That was the last question. And I'd like to sort of summarize now or share with you the learnings. Thank you, Father Anand, for talking about art and culture and how it brings together interfaith harmony. I recalled lots of instances where, you know, in Goa, we often celebrate festivals together. As a child, I remembered going and playing the Fugdi for Ganesh Chaturthi at my neighbor's house. And also during Eid, rushing to Yasmin's house for biryani. And I think it is also what is shown in the media that brings us together. The film was very insightful. And today there's a lack of it, but you still see, traditional troupes, especially in theatre, Khel Theatre, which talk about these issues. And I think we have forums like this which really bring people together, which bring about, like you say, we should not use the word tolerance, but harmony. I had a lot of points noted down which I found really important to recall about xenophobia and xenophilia. And I think it is important not to have the fear of the other, but love for the other, love for the stranger. I think today we see that when we work with migrant communities or anybody, you know, you look at the person, you judge the person, and you say, oh, if the person is poor, definitely you feel a fear that the person is going to rob something from you, right? And it's a false notion, but how is it brought about? It's because of less bridges between us as humans, prejudices that we have grown around with. And the more and more people we have around us who push these differences, the more these kind of xenophobias will exist in our society. I recalled all my childhood memories of going to the temple with my father, going to the church with my mother, and listening to the namaz in the morning in the neighborhood. And it brought about so much feeling of love and happiness to be in a community where we were sharing space together. So thank you for your presentation, Father Anand. Michelle, while you were talking about Zambauli and how interfaith in action, there are many instances of interfaith in action that we still see today. I also recalled the instances of attending so many festivals, irrespective of the religious focus. And I think what these do is they bring about a feeling of being loved and sharing the richness of our culture, the richness of rituals. I think that is important. It brings to memory. Today, you don't see people, practicing the dogma of certain religions, or just, let's say, going to church because they want to, or basically because they've been asked to or forced to. But these practices bring in, again, an exposure to the teachings of universal love, universal faith, and that is important. I liked your story about the three institutions, religious, temple, mosque, and church that celebrate a ritual together. Again, it is practiced, but in the community, because of this practice, it is bringing people together. And of course, we've seen during the pandemic how the pandemic and all of us being on the same page, suffering, illnesses, having death in our families, has brought us together, doctors, nurses, providing a service for humanity. And I think your focus was on this serving humanity. All through you gave various examples of how different people, different groups serve humanity. Thank you for that. Manjiri, I loved what you talked about. I think we all did. And I think to find inner peace, sometimes chanting, prayer is so important. Sometimes we don't know the meaning. You've researched it well, but sometimes when we are in trouble and we are praying, like yesterday I was at a football match between FC Goa and Chennai, and my son and there was a little boy who was under my care, Bishal, both of them praying. I don't know what they were saying, but they were saying, please God, So sometimes just prayer, I remember the first time I tried to pray, I said I forgot all my prayers, So it's basically communication with a spiritual being, spiritual with a connection with our inner selves. So sometimes those OVs and verses, even one single word when you chant, brings your mind into focus. Like you talked about this Bina, Samartha, Ramdas, basically the Dasbodh is about guide to disciples. And you would think that disciples are already spiritual and holy. Why would they need a guide? But I think everybody does. And even the most saintly do that at moments of temptation. And this is very helpful. So thank you for sharing your research with us. Father Francis, we all liked your focus on relationship, human relationships, and of course bridging the gap with God, and God that is interpreted in different ways. To be fully human, I think, is so beautiful as a objective or as a mission in life, which is so difficult to do. Be like God, to have a God within, a God in me. What does it mean? I think to love people is important, to love all around us is important, not to have any prejudices, hatred. And we see these practices in traditional communities where there are sacred groves, where they're respecting something which is supposed to be left untouched, where you don't destroy, whether it's a spirit world, whether it's a certain kind of ecology that you need to protect. Self-realization, the transcendental state are also aspects that you referred to. And of course, to become fully human and that supreme being, there is a simple tool, and that is to love your neighbor, to look at your neighbor, and the relationship that you have with your neighbor is in a way finding God. So thank you to all our presenters for your insights. Thank you very much.